thoroughly cure for a week, as in this process the cure needs to be thoroughly set. Otherwise, if it's giving off starins, the epoxy doesn't glue very well. We've now rubbed it down with a very light rub down, and I'm going to now de-dust it after hoovering with the alcohol, and that's it. We're going to get started now, beginning of the process before we laminate. You'll be pleased to know that we are on the second laminate, so then we've got a third to go after that to get up to our full weight of laminate as we did per specification, but we're working along and getting there nice and progressively. First mix of filler mix for putting down the foam. We're going to apply the liquid foam. This is epoxy foam, which you probably didn't gather when Sandra was mixing it initially. So over time, we've worked out what the volumeric requirements are and the expansion rates of this stuff. So we've got this pretty well taped nowadays. As you can see around the perimeter, there's an epoxy bond paste already mixed. And all we're going to do now is take out the maximum we can from this bowl. So the next step, you'll see, this will be putting the two shells together. Two laminate shells, right, that's it, we're done. Okay. Yeah, just going to move this down here a little bit. This has got a 6:1 ratio of expansion, believe it or not. So there'll be quite a decent expansion going on. There's a tiny dribble across there. I want to just remove that, Sandra. Obviously, we don't want a foam joint. We want an epoxy joint, and the epoxy is lying underneath it. Okay, we're looking good. You can probably notice it's already expanding. So we've got a limited time on this. The pistols are to our head. Right. So the next step will be to encapsulate it. Yeah. Okay, there's location dowels on that for precision locating. We don't rely on the bolt stock then to locate it. So the precision dowels, we've got it locked. Now we're going to whack it down. The idea is not to waste too much time. Because as I said, we've got a gun to our head with the expansion times of the foam. Luckily with a rudder, the assembly is about twice as fast as using a centerboard. Right, now we're going to pick it up, and I'm going to take it over there. So you go back that way.
I've got to fix that.
Yeah, put your side down.
I've got to make it not.
Okay. Because we got a cameraman here today, we're not quite as prepared. So now we're ready for the curing process. So it's tip down. This is the head of the rudder here. There's a hole in the top of the mould which will allow the air to be excluded as it comes up. So that resin, or the expanded foam mix, will have sunk, subsided to the lower part, and it gradually builds up again to where we are. We put it in like this at this very slight angle. So this is the trailing edge of the foil. That's the leading edge inside there. It migrates to the hole which is here, which is the apex of the top of the radius. You want Bob Harris on there or not?
Well, it's on there now.
You're
being videoed, yes.
Uh-oh. Right, we'll just doing a fine screed mix on the back of the foam. This is to make sure we don't get any airlocks when we're putting the foam down in the boat. Okay, it's 2:30 on Sunday afternoon, and we're listening to ZZ Top. You may be able to pick it up, I'm not sure. There's a little motivational track for us to keep going. We're going to put on a fine screed mix. This is a lightweight screed. The idea is that it fills the little tiny voids which are in the foam instead of them being full of resin. So this is a lighter way of building the boat. Okay, we use cardboard pallets. Sandra puts the mixed bonding paste onto these, and then brings it through. There's one before I've used it. And now I'm going to put it on the hull, on the inside of the hull. We're using a serrated notched spreader so that we get a very even covering of the paste before we put the sheet down, which will be the next move after this.
So here's John now actually checking for leaks in the bag to make sure that the bag goes down and seals everything up and the resin starts coming out. And we can see by the tautness of the bag that we're very nearly there.
We've now removed all the insulation. We've removed the vacuum bag, and we're now removing the peel ply, which is this stripy material. This includes the breather cloth, which is on top of it, which is this white cloth here, which is here. Now that white cloth has absorbed any excess resin that was in the laminate, and it passes one way through the peel ply because it's been driven down by the vacuum, so it comes out of the laminate and it gets absorbed into the breather film. Then this breather film also acts as an airway to make sure that we've got even vacuum all over the mould whilst it's been vacuumed down. So when we were doing the heat process, we kept the vacuum on full time to make sure there was no distortion from the mould. I dare say that's never happened before in a Javelin build. As this would have never happened either, because it's an epoxy build. We're now removing this peel ply and the breather film, and it's quite hard work. So if I would just give you a little bit. And that's all peeling off because of the resin in the peel ply won't allow the epoxy to glue to it. And the crackling in here tells you how hard the epoxy's gone off. This isn't even a laminate. Right, okay guys, we've spent a little while trying to reorganise how we make the box. Because we've elected not to make the box inside the boat, which is where everybody else would have, we've done the foam sandwich. Sandwich focuses in a little bit here. So this is a foam sandwich centerboard case, and one of the reasons why we've done it away from the job is to make sure that we can get the location proper. These pins, which are provided on the centerboard blank, don't actually marry up properly with the holes, and they're a loose fit, so it meant it would be a non-precise positioning of the case. Therefore the centerboard would be non-precision in the boat hull itself. So these pins are now going to be located into the hull, and I'll show you where they fit now. We'll just go through next door. So in the centerboard stub in the hull mould, we're going to demonstrate where we've bored those brushes out. We've now put stainless steel inserts into them. So I'm going to just remove this. That basically we'll be lifting this out through the top once we've got it bonded into the hull. But that's a precision fit there. This is exactly 29.5 millimeters wide, which matches the ends of the mould here, but not the center. So this is not an exact thickness. These new boxes will be an exact parallel thickness throughout. Okay, let's go through it. Stay where you are, so there's some focus in here. So, obviously the most important part of the case location is between these 2 points where the centre board is working. We need to make sure that's exactly in line with the centre line of the hull. That's why we've made these 2 here, and these are now stainless steel bushed instead of them being oval holes in the plastic. Now, we'll locate that here, and this will go down there nice and firm. We'll bring the centre board case in, we'll locate it on the locator, which is this piece, and from there on we'll start the bonds. But you can see that there's no movement whatsoever in that. I'm putting a lot of force on it, it's absolutely positive, 100% in the centre of the box. And the centre board box mould is not, but this will be. We've just bonded the box in place, and to make absolutely certain that it's level, we've inserted these bits of oak, actually clear or not, but they're just slid in there, and then we can apply tension where necessary. So there's a little spirit level there just to see how we're going, and then we'll check it at the other end. I don't know whether you can see that. There you go. And we're now ready. By the morning, the box will be set hard enough because the bond mix in the bottom will have gone off. And then we're going to laminate over this area, so it'll have a 50mm cover there and a 50mm cover there, forming a lovely 90-degree angle up and down. And the box will be nicely, strongly attached. After a lot of pulling and grunting, we managed to get the peel ply and the breather cloth off completely. You have a look through the boat there. We're very happy with the way it is, everything looks absolutely gorgeous. We're now going to start the process of releasing the boat, and we haven't done the overlay of the gunnel to make sure that we can actually clear the mould using wedges, remove the hull from the mould, then we're going to put it back in again, and then we're going to complete the gunnel assembly. We think that that's going to be the biggest problem that people have had in removing it, and we don't want to damage the mould any more than it's been damaged already. So we're going to start here with very fine wafer edge softwood wedges. I've left this transom reinforcement here, which is toughness, high, so that we can later on put a hole through there and use it for lifting as well. So I'm going to just see if we can free it a little bit with a tap of my hand. Yes, it's coming free. I'm going to just push that a little bit now and insert a wedge in there. And this will be the start of our releasing process. We're going to go around the whole thing. Unfortunately, there's only 2 of us and I need Sandra to help me, so we're going to have to stop there. Okay, so we've been all the way around the edge. We can't free the corner because it's too stiff, obviously, but we've come within a couple of inches there and in the transom. We've gone all the way around to the stem and we've got it to move just a little bit. There's no way you could do that if the mould was included in the gunnel, so that's where the other builders have had the problem, I think. Let's see what we can do now. We've put this piece of toughening, which is for transom reinforcing for the components, but it's also an idea I had that would help us release it from the mould. So there's a small slot in it, and again it's above the area that we're going to need it in the finished boat. Now I'm just going to put this in. I want to see if how we're getting on with that. Now I'm just going to lift up with that. See if we can get a release. Now if you look at the side here, and you can get that on the film, we've already released the transom, so it's already moving. I'm just going to carry on with that. Just keep working it gently. The other side is also moving, if you can see it here. Can you see it on video, Sandra?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looks to me as if we probably just about got it through to back into the slot, which is a pretty good start. That was a very nice release so far. We'll carry on and then we'll get back. Okay, so we've got a release all the way around the edges as you saw. I've done that. We've now put a hole in here, attached a block. It's a simple 2-to-1, and I'm going to see what we can do with that to see if we can get a release. I think we have a Javelin. Hello guys, it's been a long time since we've done an update. We've had a lot of things going on, and it doesn't look like a huge amount of progress here, but we've done bits and pieces to up the game for the future of the building. First of all, whilst we're at this stage, we've added extra laminates in all the high load areas so that that's taken care of before we add the foam. We need to clean up these areas around here which are still a little bit rough, to make sure that when we vacuum the foam on, which will be the next process, that the bag won't get punctured by these glass bits. So we've got a bit of cleaning up to do, some prep to the mould to let it accept a vacuum bag, because this mould hasn't been used with a vacuum system before. So we have to make sure that it's all going to be an airtight process. We're comfortable we'll get there, but we're not ready yet, and we have to do some work on that. So as we were alerted to the issues of the mould length deficit with the add-on pieces which cannot be found, we've made some pieces up here. This is well seasoned oak. It was easier for me to fashion that and then assemble it in the back here. There's just 2 screws on either side. We've got the same arrangement, and then we've got a release film on this side. So we've now manufactured the inside part of the skin which will be seen. And the process of the rest of the build can continue. When we start fitting this to the hull, when we're ready to do that, we can just trim this back to fit. When we know what that size is, we will then adjust this accordingly so that the next boat becomes a little bit simpler and less fiddling around. We've worked out a contingency plan on how to sort out the deficit in the transfer mould, because the transfer mould has another piece that's bolted on which we haven't. We're not concerned about that in the slightest. We've got an infill piece that will fit in the foam. That will then fit into the transom to make this joint thoroughly sound. So we're very comfortable with that part of the process. Additionally, as you probably all know, Waldo somehow managed to snap his rudder. That was a cause for concern for us all. We were very surprised because these rudder blades have been used on Ospreys and other boats with a similar loading, we would have thought, to the Javelin. But obviously, whatever it was, his broke. We've now supplied him with a new laminate structure on the inside, a new reinforcings. So we thought it a prudent move to include this on the new class boat. So this, although I've written that in masking tape, the reason I've done that is to make sure it doesn't get confused with any other. This is a new heavy duty Javelin rudder blade, which is now going to be supplied on your class boat. We've yet to fit the new cappings, which we've shown you in the previous one that we made for you. That one is no longer going to be supplied. This is the replacement for it, so we've been busy sorting that out. Additionally, as you know, we've got many other customers, and we do masts and booms in carbon. We've had a little bit of extra work there, so we're in the process of building a carbon mast right now. That process is nearly over. So that won't take much more of our time. And additionally, we've got to do maintenance in our shed. So the door, which has been there for 44 years, was a makeshift door 44 years ago. Amazingly, it's lasted until now. It was on its last leg, so we've taken a bit of time out. If Sandra looks through here, we've got a brand new sliding door. It was a sliding door before, but it didn't keep the weather out like this one's going to. I've got brand new glass as well, very posh. That's it. Hello guys, it's Friday the 20th, and I believe around about 5:30. So this week we've been focusing on building up the laminates, and because it's a heavy laminate schedule with 3 laminates of 300 grams of cloth, as prescribed by you guys, it takes quite a while. So we finally got to this stage and we've been able to trim off as we've gone, and we've had to take our time because we're using a slow curing resin. The slow curing resin gives us plenty of opportunity to double check our work, and it also means that when it finally cures, which we'll be doing a post cure at the end, it will be a better TG number, which will give it a more stable laminate. So we've been paring it back. We can't really do much about this at the moment because it's still a little bit tacky, and the same round on the gunnel edge here. But as you can see, it's a nice, good looking laminate. The grey is burning through the green of the glass fibre. You can see here where we've been staggering the joints here and here as we do the multiple laminates. These marks here, they look like they might be carbon or something, but they're not. It's basically just a felt tip mark where we've marked spots on the material when we've been marking out for one side or the other. As we come through here again, the same sort of thing is all looking a bit rough and furry at the moment, but when it's set, we'll be able to use a coarse sandpaper on all of that to get it cleaned back. And by the way, that won't be the finished edge in any case, because we're going to modify this shaping back here somewhat and a little bit lower mask it when we do the finished article. Again, felt tip spot here, another felt tip spot there, another one here, but you can see the laminating looks pretty nice. We're very happy with it, and so next week we'll be preparing the sheets when we can actually lay them on here when it's less tacky. I've already got my fingers a bit sticky now touching it. Around this area there'll be no foam because we've got the jib furler going through here. That wants to be a monolithic structure, so that'll be only glass. And the same around the chute mouth for any modifications we might want to carry out with the shaping, and in this area then where it meets the hull. So when we laminate the foam down, we'll be using a vacuum process. At that time we'll build up the laminate around here again with more glass. When we've done the foam, we've cleaned the foam up and we're going to do the final laminations. That will be done in a similar process, and we'll add again more glass here because, as I said earlier, it's monolithic, it's only going to be glass fibre, and it needs to be at least 3 mil thick for it to have enough substance for us to be able to work with when we're playing around and modifying the chute hole. Likewise with the hole for the furler. I think really that's all we've got to show you at the moment. It's been a lot of work. Doesn't look like a lot's been done, but next week hopefully we'll see a better step. Okay, it's taken us a little while to get the vacuum down. It always does, because the way the vacuum pump works, it's not a massive volume, but it is an awesome vacuum pressure. As you can see here, look, we can't pull the bag up at all. So that pressure now is pushing the foam down underneath. We've had a slight problem with this nozzle, so we had to repair the bag. That's what that shape is there. And then we've got a little bit of bleed material to make sure that the nozzle didn't lock up. And some other little strips here of bleed, which is fill ply. The tougher reinforcing's in place, and that's been pushed down by the bag as well. And then we've got all the shaping here with the foam in. It's 8mm foam everywhere you go, and it's core cell foam, which you can look up if you like. It's the best quality foam you can get. 8mm core cell, and as you go through every area, look, I can't pull the bag off. The vacuum is so good, and that's just what we're looking for. The joints here are really good. There's a bit of resin oozing through, but it's actually a bond in place. You can see it coming through there a bit. You can see it on the edges here. When we remove the bag, which won't be for a little while because this is a slow setting paste, the reason is that it gives us plenty of time to get everything in situ before we add the bag, and then we make sure the job's very precise. So this will be on for a while. One other little thing you might be able to see with the camera is these little marks here are every 50mm, and there's a bleed hole. So what that is to allow air out. That one's not quite full of resin, but this one here is, or the bonding paste. And then what it does, it allows the paste to move around underneath and allows the air to be evacuated as it gets compressed. So it's a very thorough method. You can see there's another little hole here, another one there, some more here that are all been filled with resin, and the same down here. So it's a very satisfactory job at the moment, and we're going to leave it overnight to cure. Just feels so tactile, doesn't it? So the grip on that. It's the first time I ever put it on. I brought that to the house, to our staircase, because we've got that open space staircase.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's for each tread. That's what I bought it. But like we said, I think it's all for the project.
No,
We can refurnish it, can't we? So this has only got one shot. We're going to the figure show for the first time.